Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the Philippines asserts sovereignty over the West Philippine Sea by installing more sovereign markers in critical areas. Philippine Coast Guard Vice Admiral Joseph Coime joins us live. Also, calls mount for the postponement of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections in Negros Oriental amid increasing violent incidents in the province. And the poll body is urged to come up with more realistic goals for the national elections in 2025. Commission on Elections Chairman George Garcia tells us more in the program. Senators are proposing the suspension of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections in Negros Oriental due to the violent incidents in the province. Lawmakers are also asking the poll body to place the province under its control to prevent election-related violence. Also, we talk about the poll body's wish list for the 2025 elections, but Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel wants the Comelec to rethink these new expenses and avoid, quote, wasteful spending. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Comelec Chairman George Garcia. Chairman, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to the source. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Ma'am
Yes.
Pinky, and good morning to all the televiewers. Thank you for having me again.
Okay, Chairman, it's good to see you. Maraming salamat po. So I want to start first. There's a lot to talk about with this status quo ante order. The Supreme Court issued that last week, the status quo ante order, which effectively allows Mayor Geraldine Rosal to keep her post after the Comelec had decided with finality to disqualify her. I know that the Comelec and the other respondents were given 10 days to comment on this. Has the Comelec given a comment regarding this issue?
Ma'am, on the part of the Comelec, ang Solicitor General po kasi ang abogado ng Commission on Election, abogado ng gobyerno, and therefore we are expecting that the Solicitor General will be complying with the directive of the Supreme Court to comment within an extendable period of 10 days. So definitely po magko-comment kami. And number two, part po yan ng proseso and welcome din naman po sa amin yung in-issue na status quo ante-order ng Supreme Court upang ma-review yung merits ng aming pong desisyon na nilabas kung tama o mali po kami. So, ganun po talaga yung proseso natin and that's part really of the legal practice that we are observing.
So the comment will be coming from the Solgen within 10 days. Okay. So, but I want to find out, you said this is a welcome development. It gives the Supreme Court the chance to look into the decision of the Comelec, which was rendered with finality. What happens now, sir, considering you already issued that, hindi ba meron yung certificate of finality? I believe that was last week, Wednesday. I assume this will render it moot, this status quo ante-order for now?
Yes, ma'am. In the meantime, you maintain the status quo because of the order. So what is meant by that? It means that, yeah, you are right earlier that Mayor Rosal will continue to serve as the mayor of Legazpi City. Number two, that as far as the issuance of the finality, the order of execution, then all of these are set aside in the meantime until the Supreme Court will either lift the status quo ante order or decide or resolve the decision, the case with on the merits. So in the meantime po, siya pa rin ang nakaupo. On the part of the Comelec, kung natatandaan po natin, although we issued an order to execute the decision, we did not issue the so-called writ of execution. So dahil naabutan po ng issuance ng status quo ante order, hindi na po natin in-issue yung writ of execution that will really remove Mayor Rosal from the post. So ngayon po, she will continue to serve as the mayor of Legazpi City.
I want to discuss this further. Let's just say hypothetically, Chairman, in the absence of this status quo ante order from the Supreme Court, who should have succeeded her? Because the Comelec was saying, isn't it true that the former Congressman Garbin, the second placer dun sa mayoralty race, will be succeeding her according to the Comelec? But isn't it supposed to be regularly, normally, that the vice mayor should take over?
Yes, ma'am. That should really have been the case. Although hindi ako makakapag-comment, ma'am, ng extensively because baka sub judice na tayo. But on the part of the Commission on Election, the reason is because we honestly believe that there is a distinction between what happened in the governor's position and what happened here in the vice governor's position. And yung aming contention dito ay dahil sa yung tinatawag na second place rule should not be applicable here. And we're citing the case of Talaga versus the Commission on Election, in which in the case of Talaga, if it is notoriously known by the people in the area that the person that they are voting is disqualified, then all their votes should be set aside. Nangyari na po yan sa kaso sa Quezon, na ang pinaupo po doon ay yung yung pong second placer. Dito naman po sa Paliling versus Comelec sa may bandang area ng Mountain Province, ang pinaupo naman din po ay yung second placer. So we are banking on this decision, and we are hoping indeed that the Supreme Court will be able to guide us in this case of Rosal now versus the Commission on Election.
But pending this, while this status quo anti-order is in effect, is it incumbent also for the Supreme Court to decide who will take over, just in case, sir, na i-disqualify si Mayor Rosal? Sa kanila din ho ba manggagaling yan? O sa Comelec pa rin, and then this can be questioned before the Supreme Court at babalik na naman po sa Korte Suprema?
Sa kanila na po manggagaling, Ma'am Pinky, ang lahat-lahat. Meaning, number one, tama po ba ang desisyon ng Comelec na disqualify siya? Number two, tama po ba ang Comelec na ang pauupuin namin ay yung second placer? So all of these things, all of these issues will have to be resolved by the Supreme Court, and therefore will be the guidance of the Comelec in the future for future reference in similar cases of similar imports. At number two, guidance din po yan ng mga practitioners natin, ng mga lawyers for purposes of disqualification cases.
But the standing rule, isn't it not so, Chairman, that the vice mayor takes over and not the second placer?
Yes, under the general rule, of course, is the rule on succession po in disqualification cases should be followed and should be observed.
Okay.
However nga po, in these two cases, as I have cited, in Talaga and in the case of Paliling, ang pinaupo po nila is not by succession kung hindi po yung second placer. So we honestly believe that the facts as contained and as narrated dito po sa case ng Rosal ay similar to the cases do sa Talaga versus Comelec and the case of Paliling versus Comelec. And so now it's now up to the Supreme Court whether we are right in our argument or we are wrong in that particular argument.
But please let me know, Chairman, is it incumbent upon the Comelec to decide who will sit if Mayor Rosal is disqualified? Kayo ho ba talaga ang magdedesisyon nito? Or I guess I'm just confused because for the most part, it's supposed to be the vice mayor and then the Comelec sees, but there were other Supreme Court rulings on this, so hence we will use this. How did that come about?
Pag po ang disqualification case, ma'am, ay na-file before the election, kahit nanalo na yung isang kandidato, the Comelec retains jurisdiction, and therefore the Comelec can remove the one who was proclaimed, and therefore it's up to the Comelec to determine kung sino ang uupo. However, if a disqualification case was filed after assumption to office, in which case, ang tawag na po natin doon, Ma'am Pinky, ay co-waranto, in which case, ma-apply nyo na po yung local government code, and therefore, sa local government code po, ay succession ang dapat na applicable. Although, may decision din na bago ang Korte Suprema sa Delgado T versus Comelec, co-waranto ang pinaupo po ay second placer doon po sa Delgado T versus Comelec na kaso. Delgado T versus HRET na kaso.
So it's not a hard and fast rule, basically. That's what I'm getting from you, sir.
Yes, ma'am, and that's why po napakagandang opportunity po itong bagong kaso na ito para po talaga ma-settle natin ang issues. Sino ba talaga ang uupo sa mga ganitong klaseng kaso? What are the exemptions to the rule? And at the same time, ano ba talaga ang hard and fast rule pagka ganitong klaseng mga kaso?
What will happen dito po sa Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan polls, dito po sa Negros Oriental? Some senators are asking the Comelec to postpone the elections, but we need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Comelec Chairman George Garcia. Chairman, is the Comelec inclined to postpone the Barangay and SK elections in Negros Oriental?
We are keeping an open mind, Ma'am Pinky. May mga illegal issues po kasi na problema na na-raise natin during the Senate hearing. Ang sabi natin, yes, indeed, the Comelec has the power to postpone an election in a particular area in the country. But however, the postponement can only last for 30 days. And number 3, there are serious reasons that must be the basis of postponing the election, such as sedition, insurrection, rebellion, violence, terrorism, tapos force majeure, at meron pa po yung destruction of election paraphernalia. Pero ang problem po is, kailan po kaya dapat nangyari itong mga violence, terrorism, force majeure na ito? Dapat po ba ito nangyari during the election period, o pwede po ba ito mangyari kahit several months before the election? That is the gray area. So sinabi po natin, we will be having an open mind. We are going to conduct already the hearings in the province so that we can determine whether the people will really be amenable to the postponement of the election.
You mean it's going to be up to the people to decide whether to postpone this or not?
No, ma'am. It will be up to the Comelec.
Okay.
But as far as the Comelec is concerned, we do not want to exercise whimsically and capriciously the discretion. We would like to consult with the people, with the police and the PNP and the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Kami pa rin po ang may final say whether to postpone or not.
When is the meeting or consultation?
Our executive director already submitted the proper guidelines. It will be up for consultation tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be able to approve the guidelines, and we can start the consultation process even by June of next month.
I see. Sir, moving on to another subject, just quickly, I hope. This Impact Hub Manila, the Comelec's former partner doon po sa debates, no? The Pilipinas debates in 2022, they're demanding the Comelec to pay them 15.3 million pesos. Meron ho ba kayong utang sa Impact Hub, sir?
Pasensya na po, Ma'am Pinky, pero doon po sa sumulat sa amin, mukha pong wala naman kaming pagkakautang. Nire-review po namin yung MOA. Mukhang wala naman po nakalagay na amount po doon. At the same time, nagkaroon po kasi ng problema dyan sa pag-implement ng proyekto na yan, and therefore dumating sa point na napahiya ang Commission of Elections, hindi nakabayad doon sa hotel kung saan ginaganap yung mismong debate, and therefore we resorted to ask the kapatid ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas to help us to be able to continue and finish the entire process of debate. So yun po ay subject sa aming investigation. Meron na po kaming initial result ng investigation. At again, nagpapasalamat ako sa kanila. Pinaalala po nila sa amin yung ginagawa naming investigation, and therefore we will be able to come up with reports by next week, and hopefully those who will be found liable, at kung talagang may irregularity dito sa transaction na to, then so be it.
Is there anyone liable? I mean, paano ho ba ito? Because isang taon na po ito, sabi mo nga, maraming salamat sa Impact Hub at pinaalala po sa inyo. Bakit ho nagkaroon ng postponement with regard to the result of the investigation, sir, 1 year later?
Yes po, because initially when the panel submitted to the Comelec and Bank the results of their investigation, may mga nakita po kami na kinakailangan nilang i-clarify without changing the tone or even the statement of the facts. Number one, hindi po nila kasi na-pinpoint mabuti anong provision of law ang may violation, sabi nila, napakadami. Pero ano mga provisions ng law na na-violate? We wanted to be very specific because if you're going to file criminal cases, dapat specific kasi otherwise baka ma-dismiss lang ang kaso. Number two, may na mga na-mention ng mga tao. So yung mga taong na-mention within and without or outside or within the Comelec, ang tanong, ano ang extent ng kanilang liability at anong provision na na-violate ng bawat isa. Number three, we want to be very clear ano ang mga recommendations talaga isa-isa ng ating pong panel. So, because pinaalala nila sa atin yan, siguro nga, high time na, ipapasubmit na namin sa panel yung final report nila sa Commission and
in terms of recommendation, what is it? Administrative, criminal in nature? Ano ho ba yung recommendation? Because now that I'm speaking to you, my understanding is wala ho kayong, tama ho ba, wala kayong kontrata na babayaran ninyo ang Impact Hub? Is that correct, sir?
To the best of our understanding and based on our reading of the contract, wala naman po tayong obligation. At luckily for us, Ma'am Pinky, wala pa tayong nabitawan kahit na 5 dito sa komisyon. But at the same time, tama po kayo, it should be criminal, civil, and administrative liability, and therefore it will have to stick to anyone who will be found liable dito po sa mess na ito.
And how many people are you looking at within the Comelec or those who may have left the Comelec?
5 to 6 individuals, Ma'am Pinky.
Ang posibleng involved dito. Okay. So,
Yes, and posibleng may liability.
Opo. Last question, sir. So, because this is their last, I believe, demand letter, because they've been trying to reach the Comelec through email and verbally. What do you say to them, sir? Wala ho kayo, hindi niyo ho sila babayaran. Ni isang kusing, ganun ho ba yun?
Pagka po final demand, ibig sabihin may mga previous demands. Pero as far as we're concerned, wala po kami natanggap na previous demand. So paano po nanggaling yung word? Saan po nanggaling yung word na final? Number one. Number two, magdidepende po yung action ng Comelec sa report po ng ating investigating panel. Kung meron pong liability, criminal, civil, and administrative, paano nyo babayaran? Madadamay pa kami sa criminal, civil, and administrative liability. Number three, public funds po ito. Ang pinag-uusapan natin, hindi po pondo namin personal o private. And therefore, we have to protect it at all costs over our dead bodies because people's fund po ito, and therefore subject ito sa pinaka-stringent rules on auditing, rules on the disposal of these public funds.
Okay, so sabi nyo nga public funds, kailangan nyo po itong bantayan over your dead body. Comelec, Chairman, sir, I wish we had more time, but I have another guest. Let's talk about, siguro next time, yung preparations for the 2025 elections, because meron ho kayong wish list. Ang sabi po ni Senator Pimentel, maghinay-hinay siguro dito sa wish list kasi nga pera din po ito ng taong bayan. But unfortunately, sir, I'm going to have to say thank you, and I wish to speak to you again. Comelec Chairperson George Garcia, thank you for your time. And we'll be taking a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned.